Good morning, Marc-Frédéric Le Charcuterie Anglais here today. I'd like to talk to you about beef yields versus beef provenance. Which is more profitable? Some of you might think, well, that's a strange question, but hopefully it'll all make sense as I say what I wish to say, and the points that I like to get across. So back to that question. What is more profitable? Beef yields or beef provenance? But I want you to try and imagine, if you don't mind, and if you've got the time just to watch this video. Sorry, for those who watch my videos regularly, you know I've got a bad cough. Yeah, a lot of people, especially on social media, they bang on about carcass yields, and they're talking about different breeds, and they tend to lean towards continental breeds, where the yields often are greater than native breeds, for example. So yeah, on yield, it's a win, obviously, isn't it? Because you're going to get more money because there's more saleable kilos from that carcass. So yeah, that makes absolute perfect sense, and well done. But is it more profitable than beef with provenance that actually give you less yield? Have you thought about this? I mean, have you really thought about this? Most thriving butchers or enthusiastic butchers, including farmer butchers on social media, they go on about the which I'm not against. They go on about the conformation of these continental breeds, which they do have. They have good conformation, and how they finish quicker and invariably give higher yields. Not always, but in the main. But you do have to remember, normally a rule of thumb is the heavier the breed, the heavier the bone. Because that bone has to support that yield, for a start. So, when you think about weights, especially large weights, particularly if you're, if your animals are grass-fed, normally with continentals, some are grass-fed, but invariably they're finished on grain indoors. But if they're outside, and especially in poor weather, because of their size and weight, the poaching of the ground is very prominent. So whereas with native breeds, this is where we start to focus on the provenance. The provenance being the native breed itself, whichever breed you happen to have, okay, and that provenance is your link to your customer, whether your customer is on the internet or in physical form by coming into your shop. All right, so this is where your provenance helps. It helps to bring people through your door. Your yield doesn't bring customers through your door. So you can shout all you want about these high yields, all right, but in marketing terms, they're not going to help bring in customers live or via the internet through e-commerce sales. So you need, in my opinion, you need beef with provenance. So which invariably starts with a native breed, or a native breed crossed with another native breed, or a native breed crossed with a other breed. All right. You don't want to go beyond that. So there's all the benefits of native breeds, massive benefits. And the provenance, part of the provenance, is that you telling the story that the, you don't have to administer, beef promoters and any other additives or unwanted medicines and things. They're natural calvers, all right, native breeds, so they require or don't require or rarely require human assistance, which means you're not bringing in a vet and they're not getting these top-up drugs of different things. So all this is not happening because of native breeds. So when you bring out all the positives about that, I mean, this is building your provenance. So you've got to, particularly if you're using the internet, you've got the picture of this native breed straight away, particularly like if it's a Highland, for example. Everybody's drawn, to a lovely, fluffy, airy Highland picture, photo or video. But anyway, apart from the Highland, there's many other fantastic looking breeds, and this is where, all your provenance is getting people's attention, your potential customers, those customers you haven't already yet won, but you're more likely to do through your provenance. And, and I tell you, your potential customers will not be interested in your yields, all right? That can have a diverse effect. It could come across as a negative, that albeit it is a positive because you're getting a good yield, but it's coming across as a negative that, oh, the greedy bastard, he's going for the money, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you know what I mean, and you can disagree, all right? These videos are always welcome to differences of opinion. So carry on if you wanna say different. It's no issue. We're all friends, all right? So back to the breeds of beef with provenance. So provenance could be also farm location, within the country. If we're using England, for example, if you're up on the the Peak District and or if you're in the Lake District, all these things add to the beef provenance. Whether you're doing conservation grazing, are you part of these type of schemes? Are you by the coastline? Is your beef provenance getting the sways of the mist from the sea, and all this type of thing? The provenance. Are your cattle getting that outlook over the ocean and the seas, around UK? This type of thing. This is all adding to your provenance. So then you can obviously be talking about, newborn calves. You could be continentals, I suppose, but most of the butchers who use continentals, they bought them in from the market, so there doesn't tend to be that kind of provenance included in their business style. Look, it's we're all bloody different, and we need to be different. So getting back down to provenance. All right. So what else can you throw in the pot of provenance? Who farms, who rears, who manages, who goes out there and checks on these cattle, this sort of thing, and who's sharing what food they're being given today, natural food, that is. And so, you've got grass, you've got hay, you've got silage and all these sort of things to talk about and share, and, video and photo, and all this is going to help. And then you get down to the butchery. It might, and most probably will give you a little less, not in all cases, give you a little less than the continentals do in yield. All right. So when that happens, just be happy for it. Okay. So and native breeds tend to be shorter in the leg too, so you're throwing a lot less away. All right. So albeit the continentals might be giving you a greater yield, you've also got a greater yield of waste. And today in the butchery world, it's completely different to it was years ago, where all this waste was taken away free of charge. Now, butchery businesses have to pay to have it taken away. So now you begin to see your continental waste, which will be greater than native breed waste, that is chargeable to you. So you're throwing away a lot of good money. So what you've earned on your greater yield, you're losing out on the greater yield of waste because you're being charged for it to be taken away. So if you haven't thought about that, think about it. Is it making any sense? And I'm just going to throw this in. Not that it really, I say not really belongs. It does belong, but I'll just throw this in quickly just to get this point across. Otherwise, it's another video down the line. Is you may not know that if you cook your bones, which you should be doing to get certain things from it in order to make products, if you cook your bones, those bones can go out in your normal waste. No extra charge. Did you know that? Okay. Check with your local authorities first, but just in case there's the odd local authority being, it's got a different bylaw on it or things like that. But all your raw bones invariably will go out as your business waste, or meat carcass waste. Okay, and that's chargeable because it's raw, specialist waste, I suppose, or something like that. You'll probably come under. Somebody can perhaps fill me in on that. But so there's something else to think about. All right, so something else you could slip into your business. Have you got a hand boiler? Big hand boiler. If you have, start chucking your bones in there and cooking them up, and take the broth off it, and then the bones can go out in the normal waste at no extra cost to you. Just in case, maybe if you're a shop, you would have business rates to pay, so your cooked bones can go out in that waste. All right, no extra charge. So there's a big saving. So back to the beef with the provenance, as it were. You got to keep telling and repeating the stories that's special to the breeds that you're using. So, for example, like the white pork cattle, all right, that's allegedly the breed of cattle that was used as a meal for one of our past kings, centuries past, where they had allegedly had a loin of beef for their midday lunch. I think they were out allegedly on a hunt, but and the loin was knighted because the king enjoyed the meat so much. Well, that came from, assuming the story's true, that came from white pork cattle. All right, check on the White Pork Cattle Society website, or just Google it, and this will come up. There's difference of opinion as to which king it was, or if it even happened at all. But it's a great story, isn't it? That's how sirloin got its name, So so you want to be repeatedly putting these snippets of provenance out, to engage with your customers, especially your potential customers, because stories like that will stop them in the tracks. They'll stop them from scrolling down on their phone or scrolling up, or swiping to the left or right or whatever people do, and they'll be engaged in the story. Then you've got them. You've reeled them in. You see, so it's all stories that you can attribute to provenance, and maybe where these cattle come from, where they originate. So we've got the Devon Ruby Red, which is quite a small beef cattle, lovely dark rich colour, and it's almost like a ready brown, the darkest reddest brown cattle we've got. They are supposed to be the most ancient breed in England, allegedly, again, and that's where all other breeds are supposed to have stemmed from. Not sure if that's true, but that's the information out there. So, but these are great cattle, and there's a particular breeder, a farm just outside of Crediton in Devon, which was local to me when I used to live in Devon. I think Clanninborough Farm, something like that, maybe. They in their farm shop, just a tiny bijou farm shop, they had a photograph of a Devon red, ruby red, feeding, I think it was 3 or 4 weaner pigs. And the photograph, it must have been 70 years old when I first saw it, at a guess, and looking at the age of the photograph. And again, but it's just, that's provenance, you see. And in their case, their provenances, this is also classed as a North Devon breed, and Crediton is in North Devon. That's provenance, you know. So and so it's local to the area, you know. Just remember, local to the area. All right. So that's provenance. Your continental breeds are not local to your area. I have to say, some of the British farmers do finish the continental breeds rather well. You know, of all the farmers I've seen, and I've lived and farmed and had my own butchery charcuterie business in France, and even around my neighbours, you know, I sometimes feel, you know, British farmers can finish better than you can. And I was surrounded by Limousins, you know, and I was just, I lived in the Charente, just above the Limousin region, but my region was also, you know, knee deep in Limousin cattle. And in fact, you know, my neighbour used to run his Limousin cattle on my land, you know, so it was that near to me. God, they could be aggressive too. God, bloody hell. And I think that's probably the most aggressive breed I've come across. Admittedly, it was when a cow had a calf at foot, but gee, it was dangerous. Anyway, moving on. Provenance. So what stories can you bring to your business? What is more profitable? Is it more profitable for a potential customer to be attracted to you online? You know, don't worry, it's not a dating app. But are they attracted to you online through your provenance and then make a sale, make a purchase online, or make the effort to drive and come and visit you in your shop and say they saw you online or YouTube or whatever? That's where your profit is, not in your yield, because you're bringing customers in who are spending the money, all right? I implore you just to try and think in this track, all right? Provenance is your long-term profit. I think that's a good strap word, isn't it? I say strap word, you know, strap line rather. A decent strap line, you know. Excuse me. Provenance is your long-term profit, and that's what you need to aim for. And your business will grow, and you will thrive. So look, I'll be interested to hear your comments on this and whether you agree or disagree. Or what I'd be really interested in is any comments into what, if you were farming with provenance, what do you share to be your provenance, or what would you like to share as provenance, having just viewed this video? And that I'll be really interested in. So you know, but come on, drop a line. Let's see some comments. Just let me finish off. Trying to raise some money to do a good thing, and that's to go off to Italy and to write probably what will be my last cookbook. And I'm going to drop a link below, which is Buy Me a Coffee. And if you're interested and you're obliging, would you buy me a coffee? Because that will all go towards funding me going to Italy to research for this cookbook. It'll be a little bit different, and the book will eventually be titled Italy Without Pasta. All right, so there's going to be a lot of meat recipes, hopefully. All right, thank you. Down in the link, buy me a coffee. Thank you.